So I was scrolling through Tubi late last night looking for something interesting to watch. I'm a pretty big fan of that site. There's a lot of really cool lower budget stuff on there. And I came across the poster for this movie called The Neon Dead. Now, this is something I had never heard of, but the poster on the site was incredibly interesting, and my attention was immediately drawn to it. So I sat down and watched it with some friends and had an absolutely incredible time. And I was shocked at just how few people had seen this movie. The Neon Dead is one of the best horror movies that I guarantee you haven't seen, so I figured I'd talk about it here. The Neon Dead has a relatively simple premise on paper. When you actually sit down and watch the movie, it quickly becomes something much more out there. Visually, the movie is stunning. While it's clear the film had a low budget, the filmmakers did not let that stop them. It's absolutely gorgeous. The movie is bathed in gorgeous reds, blues, and purples. It felt very much to me like Argento's Suspiria or Inferno. Considering those are movies I love, this is absolutely a positive. What they did with their small budget in this movie is nothing short of incredible. The look of the zombies and demons and ghosts is so unique and interesting. It takes a bit of influence from Day of the Dead type stuff with the celebrations, but it gives everything its own spin, and even has a great stop motion animation sequence at the end, with a final battle that feels almost Lovecraftian in a way. The story starts out very bare bones, initially revolving around what seems like your average ghost haunting before it gets incredibly weird incredibly quickly. While I obviously don't want to spoil what happens, it becomes apparent that these aren't just your average ghosts, but rather something much more. The story is extremely ambitious, and given the fact that the budget was around $17,000, what's impressive is how well the film was able to capitalize on these ambitions, and it doesn't let the budget hold it back for being an extremely fun and trippy ride. The film is a tight 90 minutes and is paced amazingly. It doesn't dwindle too long on scenes, everything gets just the right amount of screen time it needs. The acting is surprisingly good as well. Our unlikely trio have a lot of chemistry with each other, and there's some pretty funny scenes between them all. In particular, the two paranormal and exterminators have a great bond with each other, really selling the idea that they're two best friends. Our lead girl is also great. She plays the part of a standard final girl very well, and then it becomes apparent that she may know more about the haunting than she initially lets on. The balance between comedy and absurdist visuals is very well done here. While the jokes may not always land, they never really feel out of place, and it never undermines tension with cheap jokes. This movie works so well because it's able to take the standard premise of a haunted house and get really crazy with it. What stood out to me the most, in addition to the bright colors and unique visuals, was the pure passion put into this film. It's very apparent that the creators had a vision for it and they were passionate about it, and were able to use their limited budget to achieve this passion to great success. This is a group of people that were extremely committed and dedicated to making sure that this film was great, and it's incredibly apparent when you're watching it. It's movies like this that make me keep returning to the well of independent, low budget horror, as there's so many gems like this to be uncovered. I highly recommend seeking this film out. I hope it gets a more widespread following in the future, as it's one of the best horror movies that I've seen in a while, and one of the best horror movies that you probably haven't seen. Short one today, but until the next one, peace out.